Welcome back, friends. It's Anders. Today we are going to explore some substitutions for green chartreuse. Many of you know there is a shortage with chartreuse at the moment. That's actually been going on for years, but recently the Carthusian monks who make this stuff have said they're going to be producing less of it. I don't know why. I think they said they want to focus on more like monastery duties, like praying and Xbox. Let me tell you what happened. This past weekend, I went into my local liquor store, and there I saw a display with 5 bottles that said Chartreuse Alternatives. There was just that little sign, and something about that sign made it ring true in my head that this might be the last of my chartreuse for a long, long while. So this is happening. I've got to accept that this shortage is gonna remain short. Now, I'm not the only person talking about this. Educated Barfly did a video on this recently. Uncle Pete did a video. This is the reality of it. We have to embrace that chartreuse is special. It will remain very special, but not everybody's gonna be able to get their hands on it. So here we are. Amen. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button for more sips, tips, and recipes. And let's go explore alternative chartreuse options for us all. To the bar. All right, so here we are. We've got our lineup. I'm going to talk momentarily on chartreuse because we should know what it is we are looking for in these other bottles. Now, chartreuse is an herbal liqueur. In fact, it is the oldest liqueur. It is the original liqueur, meaning sugar was added to the spirit, which sweetens it up. It also happens to be 55% alcohol, 110 proof, so it's flammable. But part of the magic with chartreuse is that because of the sugar and everything, it doesn't taste as hot as it actually is. It's made with 130 herbs and plants. Technically, it is considered an alpine liqueur, meaning it was created in and around the Alps, and there are a number of different alpine liqueurs, but there are also a number of different countries that call the Alps home. So there are different alpine liqueur styles. So you can't just haphazardly grab another alpine liqueur and say this is going to be a perfect substitution for chartreuse. It doesn't work that way. But that's why we have all these other herbal liqueurs made from all over the world that we can try. We have 2 kinds of chartreuse. We have green chartreuse and yellow chartreuse. Today we are focusing on the green chartreuse, and we're not even going to talk about the VEP. That's something that I'll probably never ever see again. On top of all of this, it's a highly secretive recipe that dates back to 1605. So these monks have been making this stuff for centuries. They deserve a break because it's so secretive. In fact, I think only 2 or 3 people actually know the recipe. It's like 3 monks and that's it. But because of this, obviously, it's difficult to replicate. Okay, so let's get this show on the road. That's enough about chartreuse. Let's focus on its substitutes, potential substitutes. I am gonna butcher these names because they're from all different areas. For our lineup, we're gonna start with the green chartreuse as our North Star. And then for the alternative options, we have Dolin Genepi Le Chamois, Elixir Spirits Iris Liqueur, Bomsma Clairkamster Kloster Bitter, Enrico Toro Torella Digestif, and Centerbe Faccia Bruto. Huh? That's the best I can do. Let's go ahead and fire these up. Oh, geez. Boo on bottle design. I really don't know what any of these taste like. I've tasted this one before years ago, but it's as if I'm going in blind. I have no preference. We're gonna start from my right, your left, starting with, again, the North Star, our North Star, green chartreuse. It's a really pale green. This color is chartreuse, actually. Because of the sugar content, it's clinging to the edge. It's a really pretty nose. Cheers. Give me a moment. This will be one of my last sips of green chartreuse. What I love about green chartreuse, it is hot because it's 55% alcohol by volume. But because of the sweetness, it doesn't feel like you're drinking firewater. And it's all of these herbs and plants, and it's almost its own flavor. Maybe a slight bitterness on the end, but it's more sweet. Kind of minty. There's some piney notes. Yeah, definitely like a numbing licorice thing happening on my tongue. It's really difficult to pinpoint one flavor in chartreuse. There's just so much going on, so it's a lot to live up to. And I need water. If you plan to do this, have some water. Also, because of the sugar content, it has some weight. So you can use it as a syrup in your cocktails, and it gives it a nice mouthfeel, nice texture. All right, so moving on to the first substitute This would be the Dolan Genepi Le Chamois. This comes in at 45% alcohol, so a little less boozy and considerably less expensive. I paid $33 for this bottle. The Chartreuse, a regular $7.50. I have no idea what they'd be going for now if you could find it, but I would expect back in the day to spend $65, $70 for a bottle here in Chicago. It's more of a light yellow. It does stick to the edge of the glass like the Chartreuse, but I do think it looks a little bit thinner. We'll see. Really soft on the nose, really delicate. It is floral. I get a fruit on it. I like a stone fruit. It's really delicious. I have to say, that is really tasty. It is not Chartreuse. Less herbal. I think that the Chartreuse has more herbs. It's very good. It's also sweet, light, more delicate. That's what I would say. Perfumey, which Chartreuse can be perfumey as well. I do notice that it is less alcoholic. I mean, you certainly get a little bit of heat, but it's nothing like the Chartreuse. Is it comparable? I would say yes, actually. I do think the Chartreuse is a stronger flavor, but the Genepi is really pretty. I like it on its own. I think it'd be great with a little soda water, on the rocks, maybe a twist of lemon. On to the next. This next one was made in the States in Oregon. Elixir Spirits Iris Liqueur, 35% ABV. I paid $35. $1 for each percent. Looking at the color, it's actually really similar to the Genepi. Let's go in for a taste, shall we? Well, nothing like Chartreuse, nothing. It is, again, perfumey, different perfumey though. It's floral. There's a fruity flower smell to it. It's not clinging to the glass the way Chartreuse does. Cheers. Gonna let that train pass. Honest opinion, it's not for me. It might be for you, but I don't think this is necessarily a candidate to replace Green Chartreuse. It's very floral and very perfumey, sweeter than I anticipated. I want more herbs. I want more field. You know what I mean? What I'm saying there? I want more roots. It's just, it's a different category. A fine product. Onto the Ecto Cooler Boomschma Klarkampster Klosterbitter. That's probably pretty close. Look at this. We need like a white background or something here. Does that help? The color of Slimer in Ghostbusters. By the way, this bottle poured terribly, but I've decided not to have any bias based on bottle design. It does look like it's got a good amount of sugar. Give it the old sniff test. Oh, I'm very curious. Kind of like that. I would say that's probably the closest to Chartreuse yet. And it's not that it tastes of Chartreuse, but Chartreuse does this other magical thing where you take a sip and then it's like an explosion in your sinuses and in your headspace where you know, like, whoa, there are some sort of essential oils that the monks have put together and now I'm gonna live extra long. This kind of has that a little bit. It's sweet, 40% ABV. All right, you get some points back there, Boomschma. I think it's numbing the side of my tongue, which is a positive. That's what I'm looking for. I want that sort of thing. Oh, get this. This was the cheapest one of the lot. This one was $28, 17 herbs. Sounds like a lot, but Chartreuse uses 130 herbs. So the fact that this is remotely comparable to Green Chartreuse with only 17 herbs is remarkable. And one of those herbs is the color of, I don't know even know what that's a color of. Okay, on to the next. That was fun. That was a good one. This one is this guy. Oh, this is the Enrico Toro Torella Digestif from Italy. This one is a recipe that dates back to the early 1800s, 100 herbs. This one I actually, before I tasted any of them, I had the highest hopes for. They do also make this one in a higher proof, I think 70%. That's really high. I got the lower proof. This one is 38% alcohol, $50 a bottle. It's a very pale green. It looks like it's less sweet than the Boomschma. Uh-oh. On the nose, this is the closest to Chartreuse. That's really good. Not like Chartreuse. This would work, I think, as an alternative. It's a bit more peppery. Maybe that's cinnamon, spearmint. There's this sweetness, this vanilla sweetness in a good way. I'm not saying it's a bland sweetness. It's like the actual flavor of vanilla. I do think that this would work to replace the Chartreuse. That's pretty good. A little heat. It actually tastes like there's more alcohol in there than the 38%. Okay, so that's a winner. Worth $50? Well, if you were gonna pay God knows how much on Chartreuse, then it's probably worth the $50. Ah man, I hope that I still have taste buds for this last one. This last one, very Italian name, Faccia Brutto Centerbe. That does not sound Italian when I say it. But this one is made in New York. And I have seen this one popping up everywhere. You can't miss this bright green liqueur that sits right where your bottle of Chartreuse used to be at the liquor store. 45%, 90 proof, also $50 a bottle. I've seen a couple other people on YouTube rate this highly, so I was pretty excited. I felt like I should grab it. And the color is, it almost looks like it's not an organic green. It has almost a blue tinge to it, but I looked online on the website. They said they add in some herbs like parsley and tarragon at the last minute. This one doesn't look quite as viscous. Okay, there's no nose. I smell ethanol. Chartreuse, boom. And this one out of all of them, I smell the ethanol. Let's go in for a sip. Interesting, hot. That one tastes the most alcoholic, even though it's not. The Chartreuse has 10% more alcohol. This is the thinnest of the batch. I do get a number of herbs. I can't put my finger on what they are. It's all kind of tasting like this big homogenized herbal bomb right now. And that's my fault because I decided to do this back to back, but it's good. Does it taste of Chartreuse? No. Yeah, I do think it's lacking a bit of sugar to be considered a replacement for Chartreuse. Now you could play around with that and add a little bit of simple syrup. Maybe that might solve your problem. I do think it is interesting though. It is unique. I think now we need to see how these hold up in a cocktail. The last word, the last cocktail. Oh, this better not be my last word. Last word. I'm really trying to expand and accept all other herbal liqueurs, but I'm going through a thing here, guys. Ugh. Okay, so we are gonna make 6 last word cocktails. A couple reasons here. Number one, there's citrus involved, so we can see how these liqueurs hold up to the acid that is lime juice. And there's also a second liqueur, which is maraschino liqueur. And traditionally, this is an all equal parts drink. It's a good starting point. So let's go ahead and start building these. Start with gin. And now the maraschino liqueur, fresh lime juice, and finally, the individual liqueurs. Now with 3 shakers in each hand, shake up your 6 cocktails. Joking. Away we go. 10 to 15 seconds, nice and cold. And that's how you get guns like these. I'm pooped. Traditionally, we would put a cherry on the bottom of these glasses, but for science sake, for this research that we're doing here, we don't need the cherry on the bottom. All right, now we get to taste them. So once again, my right, your left, starting with the Green Chartreuse, the last word. Cheers. It's balanced, obviously a bright tartness from the lime juice. The maraschino liqueur has like this, a subtle cherry note to it. It's kind of dusty tasting. There isn't one flavor that stands out over the others. Moving on, the Genepi. That also works. It's really good. I am tasting more of the maraschino liqueur in the Genepi version. It's really hard to pick out the Genepi because you're working with a dry gin that has strong botanicals. It is sweet enough, so it's holding up to the citrus. I don't think you need to add any simple syrup. So the question, does it work? Yes, it does. In a cocktail, I think this works. I would still call this a last word. On to the next. Iris, cheers. Kind of tastes like an aviation. Yeah, I get violet. No, that one doesn't work for me. It's still good, but I would not call it a last word. You put a few drops of like purple coloring in there and tell me that is an aviation, and I might believe you for a moment. It's very floral. It's kind of exciting, but a last word it is not. Onto the Boomsma Klarkamster Klosterbitter, my favorite one to say. It behaved differently. Is it sweet enough? Absolutely. It almost tastes a little too sweet. Oh dear. Go back to the constant. Yeah, no. Wow. In the cocktail, I know that it's not chartreuse. I would honestly say the Genepi does a better job replacing the chartreuse in the cocktail than the Boomsma. This is why we do this. You know, this is why you have to mix it into a drink. You don't know how it's gonna behave until you try it. Onto the Torella. Cheers. Ooh, that might be my favorite so far. So this one, it tastes like chartreuse, but again, there's like a spice. There's something warming about it that is not coming straight from alcohol. I'm gonna come back and visit. I need to get to the end of the line before I lose my mind. Onto the final Faccia Brutto. I kind of like the color in the cocktail. Cheers. I do like it better in the cocktail than on its own. It's like a drier chartreuse, but there's something that's just a little bit different. It's sharper, for lack of a better term. This is me being nitpicky though, you know? All right, so there we are. This is super interesting and kind of eye-opening. In the 5 that we tasted, obviously you're not gonna have an exact duplicate of Green Chartreuse, but they are all good in their own right. It depends on how you wanna drink them. If you were to have them neat, personally, I found that the Boomsma from the Netherlands and the Torella from Italy were the closest to the Green Chartreuse. However, that changed once I mixed them into a cocktail. I would say for the last word, and there are a number of different cocktails that call for Green Chartreuse, so this video could keep going on and on and on with different drinks, but for the last word, I thought that the 2 that, for me, what scratched the itch were the Genepi and the Torella. However, I did also find that the Faccia worked pretty well. I'm not saying that any of these are better than the others. It depends on what you like. It depends on what you're looking for. Hope you enjoyed this. I sure did. The chartreuse shortage is not the end of the world. Is it a sad happening? Yes, it is a little bit. But the thing is, life moves on. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, don't forget your merch. Be kind, rewind. I will see you next time. Cheers.